Hey guys, we're going to get into the video in 1 second. I just wanted to make you aware that I am showing a trailer for a horror film at the beginning of this video that we do talk about throughout the video. Because it is a horror film, it does contain some frightening scenes and coarse language and violence, which is not appropriate for children. Everything after the trailer is completely family friendly, so if you guys want to jump in, if you're underage and want to jump in after the trailer, that's totally fine. But just wanted to be completely upfront with everybody, so viewer discretion is advised. Let's get into it.
There are monsters in the world.
It's an invasion. Have you looked outside?
We've been waiting for someone to arrive. The army, the government, the police, anyone.
There are 5 cans of food left and 6 of us.
Like rats stuck on a sinking ship.
They're coming. What are they? Zombies?
Killing machines. Every day there's more of them, and there's less of us.
Cindy's dead. Who did it? Someone in this house cut out her fucking tongue.
We all heard the fight. She wanted her dead.
9 of us are gonna get a pretty little tombstone. We're all gonna be scattered in pieces along the side of the road.
Stop.
Why the fuck do you give a shit about what's going on with those things when there's someone in this house killing us?
Run! Do it! Open the door! This is how it's gonna be until the end. You all know that, right?
I did hear someone crying, but it stopped.
Wow, that trailer was amazing, and that movie looks fantastic. Hey guys, Scott Clark with Scooter Media, and in today's video, we're doing something a little different. We're doing the first Scooter Media podcast, and with us today is director Adrian Konstant from Fable Forest Films. Welcome to the first podcast.
Hey Scott, nice to be here.
Yeah. So before we jump into talking about the new film, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into the film business.
Well, I was going to go to university to be an engineer. I was like, I love making things. I love building things. Let me go to school to be an engineer. And while I was standing there with the application form, I saw film and media studies. I was like, what is this? You could do this? And I just thought, well, do I want a life of security or do I want to have a good time? So I picked having a good time.
And whereabouts was this that you went to school for this?
Yeah, so University of Cape Town.
Oh, so this was
in South Africa.
Yeah, okay. So that was your initial...
Yeah, totally. So I went to university, and then just straight out of university, started as a production assistant, and just slowly moved into the camera department as a camera assistant. Then got the itch to travel. Okay. And I had a Canadian passport because my mom was born in Saskatchewan.
Oh, okay.
Traveled to Vancouver. Arrived at the Vancouver airport with my backpack, and the guy at the airport security guard was like, "Welcome home." I was like, "Oh, excellent. Thank you. You guys are so welcoming. This is great." Yeah. So then just started in Vancouver film industry and worked there as a camera assistant for a while. And then I met my wife, and she lived out here on the other side of the country.
So she lived here and you were in Vancouver.
That's right. And so she was just on holiday. I met her. I had a job working as a camera assistant in Edmonton for a little while. Okay. And because you work it was a fairly long job, so you're working for I can't even remember how long it was, but probably 8-9 weeks. So you don't keep an apartment or anything back in Vancouver, right? You pack up everything, you put it in storage, you let go of your apartment, and then you move to do the job. And I just had everything with me in my car. So I just said to her after we had met, I was like, should I come across for a couple of weeks and then we'll see what happens?
Yeah.
And I'm still here.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. So you move here.
Yeah.
And you're now not working in Edmonton and Vancouver. What do you do once you move here?
Yeah. That was a tough period of life because I tried to get into the film industry in Toronto, and it was available to me. Like I was getting day calls as a camera assistant, but I got caught in traffic going to work one day on a day call, and I got caught in traffic coming back.
Okay.
And it was a 16-hour day, and I was like it was also a long filming day. And I just shook my head. I was like, I can't do this. Like the only way I'd be able to work in the Toronto film industry from Kitchener-Waterloo is if I lived temporarily in Toronto while I was working in Toronto.
For sure.
And so I kind of let go working on the bigger sets. And I was like, I got to figure something else out. And so I started moving more towards smaller video.
Okay.
The kind of, where you're filming business and corporate videos and that kind of thing. And started moving in that direction. And at the same time, in Vancouver, as a camera assistant, I'd been standing on a set, and it was a big set. There were, it was just another day call. I was on C camera, and I was just having to stand around. And I was watching probably there was VFX involved, so there was this huge green screen setup. There was about 150 different people running around. And I couldn't get the thought out of my head that everyone here is moving around and is frantic because of what one person wrote in their pajamas in front of a typewriter.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is important, right? That's the person with the real power here.
Yeah.
And right after that, I had started writing.
So that was the light bulb went off. That was I need to write.
That's right. Okay. But I had been doing it all since the very beginning of my earliest days. I had been writing plays and I had been involved in creating plays, and it was all theatrical.
Okay.
But it had always been an interest of mine. So I just started writing movies, And I was working in movies, and I loved movies, and I wanted to make movies. I just never thought about writing them myself. So I started, and fast forward now, a bunch of different movie scripts and a bunch of different iterations of movie scripts, and now we're sitting in front of, now I'm here in Ontario. I don't have anything to do. And so I was like, well, I'm shooting all my own stuff anyway. Like I sent the scripts I sent out all over the place to try and get somebody else to make them.
Yeah.
But eventually I was like, let me just make it myself. So I made the first movie myself. I Was a Greenhouse, small indie drama, like teeny, tiny, eeny, weeny indie drama.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. Like the people that I worked with on that are the people that are my friends, my family, and the people that I continue to work with to this day. We've all kind of just grown. We haven't grown a lot, but we've just grown a little bit together, and it's just great.
What was it like releasing that first film? Like, so now you've written it, you're actually got the bodies to film, and you're putting together this low budget film.
That's right.
What's it like to finally get it out there in front of eyeballs?
Oh, it's the best. It is absolutely the best to finish a huge project, and to get it's a double-sided sword, right? Because you're proud that you finished it, but especially on an indie level, there's so many things that aren't perfect about it. There's so many things you wish you could fix, so many things you wish you had done differently, right?
Yeah.
So when you sit down to watch that, it hurts. You're proud and it hurts at the same time. The best part is when someone comes to you and they say, "I loved it." Which happens. It's happened on all the movies that we've made. Somebody comes and says, "That was amazing. I loved every minute of it." Like you're sitting there like kind of contorted in pain because you're seeing all the mistakes that you made along the way.
Yeah.
But they're just in it and they love it. And that really does make you feel excellent.
And when you get that feeling and it's over with, does that immediately make you want to make another one?
100%. Yeah. And I'm guilty of wanting to make another one before I've even finished the first one or the one before, right? I'm busy shooting, I'm busy editing and I'm already hungry for something else.
Yeah.
Because the problem is that, and this is something I talk about with my producing partner a lot, ideas are actually fairly cheap. You can have an idea for a movie. You have a lot of things that you end up developing. The problem is, where are you going to put your energy? Because you're like, okay, which idea am I going to put 2.5 years into?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you could make a movie about, somebody that falls in love with a watermelon.
Yeah.
And if in the execution, the movie might be amazing.
Yeah.
But like, do you want to spend 2.5 years making that movie?
Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to decide, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's really got to call you. It's got to speak to you. But ideas are cheap. It's the sweat equity that's what makes the difference.
So we watched the trailer for this is your third film, I believe.
Yeah.
I understand it was the world premiere this past weekend,
That's
and that
right.
you and a few of your team traveled to Buffalo, New York for a film festival. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
That was awesome. So I was terrified the entire time because, you know, you're worried that something's going to go wrong with the film. And it's something basic, like they have the sound of the cinema turned up too high. And everybody's like, oh, my ears, this is terrible. I hate this movie.
Yeah.
You know, you're terrified the whole time.
Yeah.
Also, that something in the export hasn't quite worked out because I potentially haven't watched that specific screening all the way through. And I'm sick and tired of the movie and I don't want to watch a screening to make sure every frame is correct. That is the last thing I want to do. That sounds like torture, right?
Yeah.
But we sat, we watched, and people really enjoyed the movie. Like, really enjoyed the movie. People came up to us afterwards, shook our hands, and they were like, that was awesome. So and we did win an award. We won an award for Best Ensemble Cast.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Fantastic. So, it was a wonderful experience to see the movie for the first time. It was like a soft release because we have a bunch of other festivals lined up, and we also have our own screening here in Kitchener-Waterloo that we got coming up in a couple months.
Okay. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah. So you're terrified the whole time. It's this weird kind of space where you're like, here's this thing we made, you know.
Yeah.
I hope you like it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So you are scared a lot, but it makes you want to make the next thing. Because every single, and you know this, like every single time you pick up the camera, you're a little bit better than you were the time before.
For sure.
You know, you learn as you go. You're like, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
I'll never do that again. The problem with movies is that the learning cycle is so effing long, right? It takes you like 2.5 years, and this movie took us 4 years to make. So the learning cycle for this was 4 years. But I mean, we shot 1 year, then we shot another year, then we shot another year, and the movie was we did better every single time we shot. We were like, oh, let's reshoot this scene again. We reshoot that scene again. It's like so much better than the way we shot it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
Talking about how long it's taken to release this is kind of touching on the last question a little bit. But after 4 years, again, you finally get this thing out. You're now getting into these festivals. What's it like to get that response and that feedback from everybody?
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah.
It is absolutely the best feeling. And we just hope it continues. We just hope that we're in the stage where we'd love to build partnerships. So we love that this movie, somebody sees it and they see what we see in it, which is there are very special elements in this movie. You know what I mean? The whole movie's not going to change the world. It's not going to, it's not like the greatest movie in the entire world, but there are some really world-class things in this movie. And we hope that people can see that, and that'll be a stepping stone for us to build relationships to move on to the next level. You know what I mean?
Where did the idea for the shifted movie come from?
Okay, this is quite cool. So Jay and I, who's my producing partner, were totally stuck. We were like, don't know what we're going to do next. We had made Bickerman's Grove, and I'm very proud of those movies. They were the wrong movies to make. Both my first two movies were the wrong movies to make as an indie filmmaker.
Why do you say that?
You don't make a drama with no actors.
Okay.
You don't make a comedy with no named actors.
Okay.
There's just no built-in audience. And as soon as anyone sees that there's no named actor in it, they just automatically assume that it's garbage, right? Even though I'm really proud of those movies, and even those movies have absolutely wonderful, they in their own way, they're really great. So I was, inside my heart, feeling like you got one more movie. If you don't do something special, then you're doing the wrong thing.
Okay.
So with that weight on your shoulders, who's going to finish a script? I mean, not this guy.
Yeah.
It was never good enough, right? I'd write a script, it was just not good enough. And it wasn't. It wasn't right, right? I do kind of believe that the right thing comes on at the right time. So then I was like, let's just get a bunch of people together in a house and we'll just make a comedy. This is to Jason. Yeah. And he's like, okay, cool. Yeah, and then we started building out the comedy ideas. It's after a funeral. Everybody comes to the house and people they start trying to sabotage each other, right? Yep. And then it was like, well, I don't know. Then we were gearing up for it. We were getting ready. And then we went to watch the movie with Johnny Depp where everybody's stuck on the train, The Orient Express. It's a murder mystery. Okay. It's a Hercule Poirot story. Okay. Everybody's stuck on the train. The train's stuck in the ice. You know what I mean? Yeah. And somebody killed somebody. And now he's got to find out who did it. Okay. Right? We watched The Orient Express. It was a great movie to watch. And we were like, well, let's do one of these. But what if the house is surrounded by monsters? So the reason that movie worked was everybody was trapped. Okay. By the train, by the snow in the train. So let's trap people in a house. How do we do that? What's a cool way to do that? Well, we thought surround the house with monsters. Okay. We really liked that. And then inside the house, we were like, and somebody's killed someone. So someone's a serial killer inside the house. Like, this is great because it's a new spin on things, right? Yeah. You got to do the same, but then if you can adjust the genre or the idea and make it new a little bit, now you're winning. We think. Yeah. Right? So now we had this house, we had these people that's surrounded by monsters, and we slowly started to build out the mythology of the monsters, why they were there, and each scene, we kind of built out what happens in each scene, and we kind of built the entire story. And we were like, we're not going to write a script. We're going to have the actors come. They're going to just ad-lib it. We know where we want to start in each scene. Yeah. We know where we want to end, right? So the actors arrive for the first day of shooting. We've not cast everything. My family, I've sent them away to live with my in-laws. I'm like, I get the house for a week because we're making this movie.
So this was shot at your house? Okay.
Yeah. So, and then we do the first scene, and the truth about ad-libbing and like making sure that, having the actors just wing it, they kind of need to practice. Yeah. They can't just do it, So they just came in and they just like had a tough time getting through the scene. And we were just like, oh no. Yeah. This is we were unprepared for this. So wrote that scene and wrote the other scene. I was nervous about this, so I had the scenes ready. Okay. The script of the scene. Yeah. So I just handed them to the actors and be like, let's just do the scene, right? Yeah. And then we did that for the day, and then we would shoot through the day, and that night I would write the next day's scenes, and then we would shoot the next day, and that night I'd write the next day's scenes.
So this is happening all on the go.
Yeah. So we did that for it was a couple weeks, I think, the first shoot. Wow. And but so we did that, but then you see things didn't work out, so we came back the next winter because we needed to fix the monsters. Okay. Our monsters didn't work out. We thought they would be in soft enough focus that we wouldn't be able to see the figures. We never wanted to see the monsters. Okay. But in the bright snow, with a crop sensor, you don't really have the fall off as much as you want. And we were like, we can totally see it's a guy with the little gray thing on his head. Fail, big time. So we had to be like, during the first year, we had to be like, we have to come back next year to shoot. So the next year, we come back to shoot, and now we've created these masks. We're doing all the monster stuff. Okay. Now we throw in a couple of extra scenes that we know are cocked up, that need to be fixed and repaired. Yeah. There's one scene there we shot over 3 times. Wow. Yeah. So because we also had lighting issues with one of the cameras, because we shoot with two different cameras. Okay. It was lit for the one camera. We thought the one camera was fine, ended up being not fine. Okay. Yeah.
Been there.
Yeah, we shot with the Panasonic GH5, and we shot on Vlog. And Vlog you need to overexpose for. And the other camera was an A7S II, which doesn't need any light. Yeah. It's just like, for sure. Yeah, I can just shoot it in the nighttime. Yeah. So we didn't realize how much you needed to overexpose Vlog. Okay. So we just ended up with way too much grain on the Vlog camera. Yeah. So it just meant that we shot a lot of scenes again, the second time round. But then there was stuff we needed to fix. So we came back for a third year. Wow. Totally. Some of the actors were like, I'm out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we had to kind of shoot around them.
Wow.
Yeah. It was, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in film and video.
Yeah.
Was making this movie.
But it's all paying off, it seems now.
Well, I don't know if it's paying off, but
Well, you know what I
we're
mean.
finished and I can move on with my life.
Yeah.
Do a new project. And I won't take that long again. You know, because the thing is, when you're not a full-time filmmaker, or you're not making your movies full-time, you kind of try and squeeze it in between the cracks. And like, that's a terrible way to do it. The way to do it, like you're like, okay, I'm going to try and do an hour a day.
Yeah.
You know, or I'm going to do it in the evenings, and you try your best, but when you have a family, it gets really tough.
For sure.
What you have to do, in my opinion, you got to block off time. You got to say, after the shoot, you're like, I'm not taking, and you got to have the cash to do this. You got to make sure you have the cash to do this. I'm not taking a corporate job for 2 months.
Yeah.
So I can finish the movie.
Yeah.
You just got to do that. Otherwise, and the problem with going so long, you know, taking 4 years to finish a movie, the people who helped you with the movie, they don't even care about the movie anymore.
Yeah.
They're different humans. They've had kids. We had one actress. She was supposed to be pregnant. The first time she came, she had a little belly. You know, she just had to put a little belly on.
Yeah.
Then the next time she came out, the next year, she was actually pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So it was perfect. Like, she actually had the belly and everything.
Yeah.
The third year she came out, she was pregnant with her second kid.
Oh, no way. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, most of my experience is in the corporate video world and in the news. I worked many years in news in the corporate world, so I'm not into the whole movie making industry. Yeah. You as a director, I know you said you wrote them to film, but as a director, what is your job making a film like this as the director?
Yeah. So the director's like the overall vision. You have to really be the audience. In my opinion, your job is to make sure that every single actor is staying true to who they are, so that the number one cardinal sin for me is if an audience member is watching the movie and they're like, what was that? Like, something is not right. And it can be whatever. It can be in terms of the editing. If the editing is jarring, you know, it can be in terms of the performance. If the performance of the actor kind of, you know, is not really congruent with the character. If the VFX of the shot doesn't flow nicely through the movie, so you're like, oh, you know, if there's anything that takes you out of the movie, then you're failing. Your job is to make that story flow from the beginning to the end, and to give the human beings that sit down to watch that movie, they never leave the movie. They're always in it. So the music never drops out all of a sudden, so that people are like, oh, that was weird.
Yeah.
You know, no one ever, and if you do something, like you do some jump cuts or something aggressive like that, it's very intentional in order to elicit a certain response. So you're just guiding the ship to make sure that all those pieces are coming together in a beautiful way. Like, when you dream up a movie, and this is my own theory on this, is like, you kind of have this, out of the dreamscape, you pull like this amorphous feeling that you want to elicit in people.
Yeah.
Then when you get down to the nitty-gritty of making the movie, you like break it into a million technical pieces. You break it down into 3 acts. You break those acts down into scenes. Those get broken down into actors. Each actor gets broken down into wardrobe and age, and each of them has a line. And then that line gets broken into video, and it gets broken into audio. That video might have VFX added and then color added afterwards. And the audio is not only going to be like, you're not only going to level the audio, you're going to make it sound good, but then you're going to put some, you know, you're going to compress it. You're going to do all the things, right? You're going to 5.1 sound that, or whatever you're going to do, right? And then you're going to add the music on top of that. And what you do is you take, it's the biggest, most complicated, most beautiful puzzle in the entire world, because you put it all back together so that when somebody sits in that chair, they experience that kind of singular amorphous dream that you had over here. So it's like, it's the singular thing and this feeling that you want to elicit, and then you break it into a bajillion pieces so that you can execute it. And then you put all those pieces back together and you say, hey, look at this dream. That people don't see the pieces. They just want to see the singular experience, or feel the singular experience. And if you can make sure that they can get from beginning to end as a singular experience, then you're being a director, I think.
That's so cool. That's a cool way to look at it.
I might be wrong. I've been wrong about a lot of things, so who knows?
Now, me, behind the scenes, watching a behind the scenes documentary or something like that, I see the director sitting in his chair yelling at people on the set. Is that what it's like in real life?
Not for me.
Okay.
Because I'm also usually one of the shooters. We've never had a set big enough where I'm just sitting in a chair.
Okay.
Right? I'm always doing stuff.
Okay.
So, and most often, because I come from a camera background, I'll be behind the camera as well. So also shooting, also talking about lighting. But I mean, and the truth is, the working relationship I have with my producing partner, Jay, is that he's also there. And actually, I might be in front of the camera making things happen, and he's sitting behind the monitor making sure that everything looks good, So it really is a team effort. Now, that said, I would love to be on a set where I'm sitting in the chair telling people what to do.
I bet.
I can't wait for that day.
Yeah. Well, talking a little bit about budget, you've mentioned, most of these are pretty low budget films.
Yeah.
What kind of equipment, you mentioned the cameras a little bit, but what kind of, you talked about the location and that kind of stuff, but what goes into making, how do you keep it low budget? Like, how do you keep, obviously you have people working and there's actors and there's people behind the camera. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, keeping your costs down. It all firstly, you got to be smart about the movie you're going to make. You got to be like, listen, what do we have available to us
For sure.
that we can use for free? Then obviously there's certain things that you should spend your money on. You need a basic camera, but people put a lot more emphasis on using a camera than or the importance of the camera than they do the sound, which is the wrong way round.
Okay.
The camera is important. You should, you want a nice camera that's going to shoot a clean picture.
For sure.
But actually, it doesn't need to be clean. But what you need is clean audio. You must have clean audio. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. But you have to have a group of people who's willing to work for free. You have to have someone who's willing to act for free. And then you have to carve the time out of your life to go and do the thing. The place where you're going in the first movie that we made, the place that cost us money was food.
Okay. So catering or whatever, that kind of thing.
If because people are very kind. So people will come out and they'll be like, oh yeah, 100%, we'll come out and help you, no problem. But then at lunchtime, they need to eat. At any point, they need to be able to have a drink. So, and then you need to have those things available. That might be a couple $100 or something on the day. Pizzas for everybody. For sure. And if you're shooting for 9 days, that adds up. And what if somebody's like, listen, I'll come and help you out, but I need some gas. And you got to, shout out a couple. So you got to have a little bit of money. But I would say that buying the camera, making sure you have good audio gear, number one. And then it's just people that are going to help you. And the truth is, just getting from beginning to end of your movie, I mean, that's your first movie. That's the only thing you're trying to do. You're trying to be like, is this possible? Can I do it?
Yeah.
And then do it.
Yeah.
And then you'll see, and then you'll learn. And the next one, you get a couple extra bucks. You'll be a little older, you'll get some more, someone else will give you a couple. Because what happened with me is, we made the first movie just out of pocket. And then the next movie, someone gave me just a couple bucks, so it wasn't out of pocket all the way. And then for the next movie, there was more bucks that came so that it wasn't out of pocket. Now, I am heavily invested in this movie, financially and emotionally, but it wasn't. You're just in a different place than you were in your first movie.
For sure.
And I suppose you just got to move through that. That's what I think. I might be wrong. I've been wrong before.
Now, we talked about this being your third movie, but this is the first horror movie.
Yeah.
Tell me we talked a little bit about the monsters. What's different about making a horror movie versus a drama and a comedy?
Yeah. Comedy, you're laughing the whole time on set. Everybody's upbeat. Everybody feels great. Drama, you just kind of, move through it. You're just trying to do the best job you can. It's nice.
Yeah.
Horror's fun. Horror's dark, and it just feels great. I don't know. I mean, you break it into so many pieces that it doesn't seem scary at the time, but it's just a lot of fun. And when you see things come to life on the camera in front of you, when you see these creatures and you see the way the blood glistens in the light, you're like, this is excellent. When you add a piece of VFX to a shot and you're like, yeah, this is great. So I don't know, it's really great. When I look at the movies that I watch, when I'm switching the TV, this is the kind of movie that I would gravitate towards instantly.
Oh, is that right?
100%. Like I made the drama because it was the story that just came to me, and I made the comedy because I just, once again, I feel like these stories just kind of, they're like, yes, this is the thing you will be making now.
Yeah.
It's almost as if it's given to you, right? But horror and thriller more than horror for me personally, but any kind of fantastical elements that are added into the story, man, you got me hook, line, and sinker.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of people are going to want to see this movie. Is there, you mentioned there's a local screening.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, and if there's any other festivals that you're screening about.
Yeah. So we got Toronto Independent Film Festival.
Oh, awesome.
We got into that. There's a film festival in Austria. We are also, so Buffalo Dreams is done. And
you're going to travel to Austria?
Jay wants to, for real. Oh, yeah, for real. He priced it out and everything.
Oh, I was kidding.
I was like, yeah, no, he was like, let's go.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to go though. It's a little pricey just to. But then we got another 4 or 5 festivals that we are hopeful for. So we entered into a lot. But we've got 4 or 5 that we are feeling good about, let's put it that way. Okay. So it's still going. And the screening is just a personal screening for cast and crew and family members and stuff, just here locally, just so that people who have worked on the movie can see the movie, because, they deserve to see the movie. They have to see the movie.
For sure. Yeah. Has there been any thought or any discussion about like a digital release or any kind of that thing like that?
No. So distribution is a tough nut to crack.
Yeah.
In indie film, it's the grail, the holy grail. Once you get that sorted, you can kind of put the pedal to the metal, and then you can like carry on making your movies. You're like, this is how we make a little bit of money on our movie, and then you can just do that a lot and just grow that, So we haven't really cracked that nut yet. We have had a bunch of distributors come to us, be like, hey, we're willing to distribute the movie. We are hesitant. We did a documentary series for Bell. And we did get distribution with that. So we had some experience working with a distribution company, and I suppose we're not really willing to give away the rights for nothing.
Makes sense.
We're not trustworthy that we will ever see anything, see a penny. And based on what we've read online, a lot of people are like, if you don't get a minimum guarantee, then you will never see a penny. So in our minds, we can put it on Amazon. We can put it on, we can put it on a bunch of platforms ourselves. So as a distributor, we kind of are just curious, like, well, what are you going to do?
Oh, see, I didn't know that was something different. That's what I was kind of getting at. That
we can put it on Amazon.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you had to go through a distributor or something like that to get it on those channels.
Not for Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's its own entity.
Yeah, so Amazon's its own. And Vimeo Pro, you could go Vimeo Pro, so you got that platform. Google Play, you need an aggregator. iTunes, you'd need an aggregator. And then I think you'd probably need a distribution agent to get it onto Tubi. A lot of people are talking about Tubi. They're saying this is a good option for indie film. The thing is, it's just tough because we're entering into discussions with distributors right now. Because people see the trailer and they're like, we want to distribute your movie.
For sure. Yeah.
Of course you want to distribute. You want as many movies as possible. That's a distributor's job. They're like, oh, yeah. And their job is also to get it as cheaply as possible, right? If you're like, and then they'll run their process that they do to get your movie into all the various platforms or all the various spaces. So for us, we just are enjoying the process of having these discussions. We would like a sales agent to talk about international sales. This is an aspect of it. And for us, we would like to build a partnership because we have 4 or 5 ideas that we're busy building out right now, which we think would be just crackerjack, excellent ideas.
Yeah.
And we would love to have a partner to help us get to that next level, to help us get to that next space, so that we can make those. So that I can be a director sitting in the chair telling people what to do.
There you go.
It's like a dream.
It's one of these days.
Yeah, one of these days I'm just going to sit there and be the boss.
Is there anything else that you'd like our audience to know about the film or about your film company? Where can people go to find out everything about Fable Forest Films?
Yeah, so just fableforestfilms.com or anything at the Fable Forest, and you'll find us there. And no, nothing in particular, just good job, Clark. This is awesome.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for joining me. Again, first guest and the first podcast here at Scooter Media, so thank you for joining me.
This was a bit of a long video today, so if you have made it this far, thank you. Please type in horror movie in the comments to let me know that you did make it this far, and also let me know if you're interested in seeing more of these podcast style videos. Please remember to give the video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, as it really does make a difference, and I would love to have you join me on this YouTube journey, and also hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the things on this channel. Thanks for watching today's video. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.